Hello! It's Tuesdays with TIFF. I have been really trying to think of ways, just asking Spirit ways that you can assist you more throughout this transitional phase, this crazy time we're in. And I was just meditating and I was so I wasn't even sure what I want to talk to you about. I was like, let's just bring through whatever they need to hear. So, I was wondering how many of you have been feeling or experiencing inner shifts going on. If you're feeling the heightened energies that are going on in the world, are you allowing that to turn yourself inward? Are you doing any of the inward work? Are you noticing things that are extra triggery, things that are just send you to a place of trauma? Yeah, I want to hear from you guys if that stuff's happening for you. Are you feeling triggered, or are you feeling triggered and processing it and feeling like you're coming out on top? Are you needing help because you're stuck in the triggers? Please message me or comment on this video so I can understand what is you're needing from me, so I can assist you better, because I love you. So for me personally, I am hardcore. I am a hardcore, die-hard into this mission of this life purpose. A few years ago, I never really talk about who I am or where I come from and stuff, and I guess I should probably explain some of that. Or why this is important to me. A little bit is that I grew up with sensitivities and spiritual gifts. I've always been this way, but I didn't know how to use them. I didn't know how to use them. It was something that I felt was hard. I felt like it was a curse. I felt like because I'm extremely compassionate and extremely loving, very sensitive. I can actually feel what other people are feeling as if it's happening to me. I know things, just by thinking of someone or whatever. There's just always these little things that seemed strange to other people. And so I didn't quite know what to do with that, And upon my own journey, I finally got to the point where I was ready to wake the hell up and take my life into my own hands. But it took me a solid 28 years before I did that, so be patient with yourself. But I did. It took me, the whole rock bottom, dark night of the soul, slap from the universe to shake out of it, to go all of a sudden it was just why am I living like this? You know what I mean? Why am I living this way? And to recognize that the power is actually in my hands. But I did not think it was. I wholeheartedly believed that everybody else had my power, and that I was just a victim of life, that I was just, dealt a certain hand of cards. I just had to see those things through till I died. That was truly what I thought. And I never thought that my art could spiritually lift people. I never thought that my gifts could shift people to a point where they remember their worth, and that they find themselves and remember that they're a miraculous gift from God walking. I never knew that. I never knew any of those things. And now that I've decided to take my own life back into my hands and live my life purpose, I get to experience that. I get to experience my life purpose helping you find your life purpose, my life purpose helping you find love and acceptance and peace. And I just can't even put into words what that's what that feeling is, because there aren't words for it. It is truly It is truly heavenly, like it really is. And so like that's basically what it feels like to me is going on in the world right now. You know, I had to hit rock bottom. I had to get slapped in the face by the universe to wake up and to reclaim my divinity, to remember my divinity, to claim my divinity, and to remember my connection with God. And then look around the world right now, there are people waking up, there are people taking their life into their hands, there are people taking this seriously, but there's a lot of people who aren't. There's a lot of people who are still really, really rooted in the old mentality, the old way of thinking, where everything has to be hard, where we're separate from God, where God punishes us, where you have to work hard for every penny we have, that it's wrong to be happy. If I'm happy, something bad will happen. Like, those are the old mentality, the old way of thinking. But those thoughts, those beliefs, those programs keep you so rooted down. And the point is like, you have to be able to start releasing those weights to bring in more light, to raise your vibration and raise your vibration till you are like carrying the type of vibration that could be in the same room as Jesus. You know what I mean? Like, I remember hearing that as a kid, saying like, well, you couldn't bear the presence of God because you have to be worthy to bear the presence of God. And I was always like, what does that mean? And now it just makes so much more sense. It's not that like God doesn't want to be in your presence or that he's mad at you. It's the fact that you have to actually physically be at a certain vibration to be in the presence of God, because his vibration is so high. It is just complete pure light. And every negative belief we have is a physical density. So it weighs you down. It keeps you at a lower vibration, a lower frequency. Okay, so every time you release something that's weighing you down and you merge that shadow with the light aspect of yourself, that allows you to raise your vibration. And so that is what I started to really feel within myself. It was like every time I was releasing, and like the thing that's crazy is like 90% of the stuff I have studied and learned, it has been 100% guided and led by spirit. Like once I woke up and once I decided to take my life back, I started meditating for hours a day. Like I still do, hours a day. And so I was just always led to like, okay, read this, study this, do this with your body, activate this. Like everything I've been doing has been led by spirit. And I'm very, 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 very conscious of spirit, okay? Because I know a lot of people go like, oh, what are you tapping into? You don't know what kind of spirit, you know what I mean? Like, you gotta be conscious of that because it's very true. There's lots of aspects of spirit. There's lots of aspects of the spirit world. There's lots of aspects, there's angels, the divine, there's God, there's our higher self, there are lower density energies too. There are negative spirits who want to throw you off, right? So it is really important to be aware of that. So I'm very, 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 very conscious of that. It is so good, so important to like set sacred circles, to clear the space, say however it is you do it. Like if you just want to say a prayer, command that God clear the space of any lower density energies or spirits, that only the highest frequencies and the highest light or highest beings, like celestial beings, can be present. Well, however it is you want to do that. But I do that every single time I'm meditating. I set sacred circles. I do all that kind of stuff. So I make sure that like whatever wisdom and intuition and inspirations I'm receiving are from the highest source, right? And from my highest perspective, and from God, like from the highest perspective is the goal. I always ask, what is the highest perspective? What is the highest truth? Above ego, above opinions, above fear. Like, what is the highest perspective? And the more you start to do this, you feel it. Like you feel it in your body. You can tell the difference. And so that makes it like so real. Like, you know that things are happening, right? You know that, like, you are raising your vibration, your frequency. You know you are releasing these dense energies because you feel it. You feel different, and you feel different, and you feel different. And, you know, when you're obsessed with this life purpose, like I am just like hardcore at this because I know how important it is now. And I know that, like, I have certain things I've got to get done on this earth, and I have no more time to waste. It's time to get it done. So I'm just like full in. But when you're doing that, it's crazy because, like, you feel like you're a new person, like, every day. Like, every week. All of a sudden you're like, you like think about a month ago and you're like, man, I can barely even relate with that version of myself because I've learned and grown and released so much since then. And you need to be doing this work every single day. I mean, every single day. And the days that I don't, there aren't even days I don't anymore. But I remember when there were times where I would, like, go a few days without doing the work, and then I would feel like crap, or, like, I realized I was really out of alignment with myself. And then I'd go, oh yeah, okay, and I get back in alignment, and oh yes, this is the way I'm supposed to feel. But the more you do it, the more you're so consistent with it. It's like you become just like that is your norm. So it's like not even an option to not be doing it. You know what I mean? Because, like, oh my goodness. So I just have so many stories I want to tell you. I haven't told you guys any of the wild stuff. But I have so many stories I would love to tell you. Maybe I'll start telling you some wild story every Tuesday. Wild meaning awesome. Okay, like awesome. I don't use I don't use psychedelics or anything like that when I'm meditating. I know a lot of people do. There's a lot of Native American ayahuasca journey type of things. I personally don't because I just haven't needed to. Like the spiritual highs that you can reach straight through meditation and connecting with God and the spirit and your higher self is insane. Like, so that's the kind of wild I'm talking about. Like the wild, amazing, intense spirit journeys I've been on, strictly just led through spirit and God. Actually, a week ago, I went on one, and I always get hot when I'm doing this because I start getting excited. I'm such a fire, you know? A week ago, I went on I think I posted a little clip of me, like, being in a tent, and I was like, I love glamping. Well, I went to a tent by myself down in southern Utah, and Spirit had already been telling me, I'm, like, always working toward leveling up, mastering myself, mastering my body, mastering my gifts, and I've been really, like, asking to know myself 100%. Like, I wanted to know myself 100%. I wanted to actually just remember exactly before I came here who I am. Like, I wanted to know who I am, who my higher self is 100%. Because I'm always working with my higher self and communicating, but, like, I wanted to remember. So Spirit led me on this journey. Ended up being, I love it because God always does this for me. God always, like, takes me on these journeys. I never plan it. It's always just like, okay, go do this, go here, do this, and then I'm just like, okay, and I just do it and it falls into line, and then it ends up being, like, during some cool energy portal or something. Like, another one that was, like, extremely memorable happened to be on Lionsgate portal last August. Anyway, so this weekend was the spring equinox. It was a new moon, and there was, like, two other things that were, like, really heightened energies all on the same day, or the same weekend. And so anyway, I ended up in a tent alone, southern Utah, for a couple days straight, and I turned off my phone and everything, and I just was completely locked in. And it's crazy because the amount of things I've seen and witnessed and experienced feels like it was 2 weeks. Like, it was crazy because time is so relative. So when you're meditating and you're, like, in that heaven, when you're in that, like, fifth dimensional energy which we would call like heaven energy. But there's like different dimensions to it. So if you don't understand the fifth dimension, like Earth is like third dimension, and then like spirit realm after people like pass on, that's like the fourth dimension, and then the fifth dimension is like where we would say like God lives, like that's where God is. So anyway, so when you're really tapping into like that fifth dimensional energy where you're like bringing heaven to earth and you're like really creating heaven on earth for yourself, time is extremely liquid, I guess. I don't know the word, but it's very, very relative. Like it is not. Anyway, so I was really in that space, and I was shown just like an enormous amount of things and understandings, and it was extremely beautiful. And so before, like, I've done so much transformation, letting go old versions of myself, transformation, letting go old versions of myself. And every time I do that, it's like I'm processing that aspect of myself that I was like kind of clinging on to. There's certain aspects you cling on to harder, and then you release it. And so then I was kind of feeling like I was in a limbo space where I wasn't that me anymore, but I also wasn't like the new me either. I was just kind of like in this weird limbo. And I was just hanging out there just because that's where I was supposed to be at the time. And I was just enjoying it. But I was ready. I like, I had to make the decision, like, okay, I'm ready to commit 111% of myself to my life purpose. And because there's certain things we just hold on to, like fun. Like for me, fun is a really big one. So I'm like, is this gonna interfere with like the fun I have? So that would hold me back, seriously, that one thing. Another one is like my kids. I always have this fear that, I don't know, that it would interfere with the type of mother I am. Like, if I got too... I don't know. I was just afraid that I wouldn't be grounded enough to still be like a fun mom. So that was another one that I had to really work through. And then I had to realize is like, obviously, the highest version of myself is going to be the best mother, And so, anyway, processing, limbo, finally commit. And then I go through this journey. And I got to meet my highest aspect of myself, my higher self. And I thought I had already. Like, I've had experiences connecting and loving and growing this connection with my higher self and remembering we're one and, releasing the separation. But it was always more like, it was like me. And then if I meditated, I could connect to that and talk and communicate and ask questions and whatever, receive information. And then I'd go back to me. And now it's just like we're one all the time. So I'm always receiving and connecting, or I'm always connected and I'm always receiving inspiration, intuition, communication. It's just all the time now. And so it's weird. It's like just driving down the road. I'm like, Spirit's just, I don't know, it's just funny because I've always like listened to my intuition a lot. Like it's always been really important to me, so I thought I was already like doing that, but it's like every time you level up you're like, oh, this is a whole different thing. So just driving down the road I'll be like, oh, there's a homeless man, go give that guy some money. I'm like, oh, okay, turn around. And I'm like, oh, I'll give him like $5, and Spirit's like, no. I'm like, 20? I'm like, oh, 20, that's very generous. And Spirit's like, how about 40? And I was like, okay, I'll give him 40. And, they're like, yeah, just give him 40. What, you don't think you have enough money? You are an abundant being, Like, stop believing that you're living in lack. Like, that's the problem. So it's just like, tap into your abundance. Of course you have plenty of money. Go give him $40. It's like, all right. I go give him $40. And he was just, I could just see the light in his eyes. And I was just like, have a blessed day. And he was just like so grateful. And I just felt love for him, and I know he felt the love. And so just like little things, like then I'd go on about my day. But just like shopping even, I'm like, what laundry soap should I get? And like, it's like, there's like an opinion about everything I'm doing. It's so funny. So anyway, so the point is like, there's no longer that feeling of separation. And separation, the belief, the illusion of separation is the root of like most suffering, because we believe we're separate from God and separate from ourselves. And like today I was working with a client, for instance, and one of her biggest pains in life was feeling alone and feeling abandoned. But she was always confused by it because she actually has a very supportive family and her family really loves her. And she's just like, I don't know, but like I've always just felt this, and it's just been a very, very painful thing for her. And today I walked her through an experience, through a journey of going inward, finding her inner sanctuary, and connecting with her higher self and reconnecting there and forgiving herself for, abandoning herself. And she really, really recognized that, like, that feeling of loss and lack and, feeling alone, it was coming from the loss of herself. She really understood that it was her own love that she has been starving for. And they reconnected, and the energy started flowing up her spine for the first time and through her whole body. And just talking about it like makes me want to cry and have chills, because it's so powerful. It is so powerful. We hear everywhere like self-love, love yourself, self-love. Like that's been really mainstream, and I'm a big advocate of self-love. But what does that actually mean for us? Like, why is that so important? I think people get confused about it. Like, what is that even like? Of course I love myself. Like, what is that big deal about that? But it's that. It isn't just like some superficial version of love. It isn't just like bubble baths and, shopping sprees. It is like the truest form of love, because you are recognizing that you are one with God. You are one with yourself. That your higher self, your spirit, and your body and your soul are one. You are always present. And when you start understanding that, you start realizing that God is in every single thing that you do, in every single thing that you feel, in every single place that you look. God is there. And, I know that the word God is even controversial for people these days, like with, the new age spirituality and all that stuff. We really like to resonate with, spirit and universe and all that stuff. But who God is unconditional love and light. That is what God is. God is the unlimited source of love and energy in the universe that everything has ever been created from. God is source. And I actually personally had to do a lot of work around this, because, we grow up learning different things and then just accepting things that we're told or whatever, and then we're not sure what we even believe, you know what I mean? So I had to go through my own process of releasing perspectives and accepting my own through my meditation, through my experiences, through my connection, and healing the wounds that I felt so deeply. I had a lot of wounds with God because I felt very abandoned. There was lots of times in my life where I was praying my hardest and I was just in such an enormous amount of pain and different things, all types of pain, emotional and physical, and it never felt like God showed up for me. I always felt like, well, obviously my stuff doesn't matter then. It only matters if it's like life or death. The rest of it was like, it's too small for God to care. So I had all these grudges and anger with God, and then I'd look around the world and see people suffering, and I was really angry with God. And I've had my bouts with God. I have gone through hell and back, to say the least, to reconcile my relationship with God. And I would just really, really recommend addressing that within yourself. If that is something, I don't even care if you love the word God. You should still go and recognize all the times you felt abandoned, all the times you felt alone, all the times you felt like you weren't important enough to be cared for, all the times you felt like you prayed and nobody heard you, all the times you feel like God is not here and that we've all been like left, and all these different things. And I want you to go and start addressing those things and releasing the trauma around it, and start recognizing that God is always, always present. But we as humans get in the way. We as humans block his love from, well, no we don't. His love is always present. Or the love of the divine. And when I say God, I imagine mother and father. So, anyway. So when I say God, it's like the mother and father energy. But their love is always present. It is always present. But we block it. We don't recognize it. We don't see it. We don't feel it. And we sabotage ourselves. And that is why we have so many light warriors on earth. We are God's hands. We are God's servants. We are the help. We are here to help you remember, to help you reconnect, to help you find your light, to help you find God again, to remember that God was always within. That every single journey that you go on in your life is to take you back within. Every single journey on the outside that is happening is trying to point you back inward, because the true salvation, the true journey is inward. It is an inward path. It is an inward journey. And until you start taking everything that's pointing you outwards, everything that's taking your attention outwards, and start focusing that and channeling that inward, you're going to continue to always live in lack and abandonment and disconnected. So, anyway, that's my message for today, because now I have a client. But I love you, and I hope this helps. And please message me or write on the video comments, things that you're going through and experiencing, so that I can help you through that. All right, I love you.